We all remember these legendary composers, right? It's because they produced thousands of more compositions than any of their peers at the time. And so we only remember, like, what do we remember? Like Beethoven Symphony No. 5. Like, I'm not even pretending to be like that sophisticated. Like, that's, you know, we just remember those three names, those three people, and a few of their songs. But the truth is, they just produce way more.
We're all about turning a crappy situation into something positive.
$250,000 of credit card debt.
I still remember the day when no one turned up.
Throw it in the garbage and start from scratch.
I could give myself a chance, so I started something.
I mean, I think that counts as from poop to gold.
Our sponsor for this episode is our 14-day video script challenge.
Yes, we are sponsoring our own show.
Yes, we are. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Daniel Harmon, Chief Creative Officer at Harmon Brothers. This is From Poop to Gold. And my guest today is Jon Youshaei.
You got it, man. You got it. Yep.
Super happy to have you on.
Likewise.
Jon is manager of, well, you give me your official title over at Instagram.
Product marketing manager on IGTV.
That's right. Product marketing manager at IGTV. They stole you away from YouTube, right? You were originally over at YouTube?
That's right. I was there for 5 years, doing a lot for creators, helping them grow, monetize. And I got a little tap on the shoulder from Instagram about a year ago. And they're like, hey, we're starting this new thing for video on IGTV. Want to have you come in. And I'm like, how interesting would that be to take my knowledge and, you know, help out a new platform.
Very cool. Very cool. And you've been recognized by Forbes, Inc. magazine, a bunch of others. You're also the author of Every Vowel, right? Everyvowel.com.
I'm impressed, man. You did your research. Yeah.
A little bit of a Dilbert kind of type cartoon.
Yep.
Every Monday you're posting those, right? Yeah,
I've actually, I was posting those every Monday. I've slowed down a bit as I've tried to launch my new video show and, you know, this new job. But still draw cartoons every chance I get.
Yeah, and then the video show you're referring to is Admazing, right?
Correct, Admazing,
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're primarily, you do that one on IGTV as well, but LinkedIn, right? You're doing
IGTV, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. It's actually been an awesome process to learn about the different platforms beyond like working at them, just seeing them from a creator perspective.
From a creator perspective, it changes everything.
Changes everything. Because I'm like, we have this culture of dog fooding. Have you ever heard that term before?
No, but I want to know it.
Like it's a very Silicon Valley term, but it's like basically you got to eat your own dog food to make sure it's good.
No, actually, yeah, I've heard this. It's been a little bit, but yes.
Yeah. But I'm a big believer, like you got to do creator fooding. Like dog fooding is mostly done as a viewer, right? You consume.
Yep.
But when you're uploading, you're going through the production flow, these are much different things that you're feeling. So if I'm not doing that, how can I help build the best products for the people that are?
Right. So
that's my philosophy.
So essentially, then to take it full circle, if you're going to, you know, be creator fooding, and if you're going to be dog fooding, then you're both the viewer and the creator. Then you got to be advert fooding. You got to be an advertiser too on your own platform and see how that goes, right?
Yeah.
And it brings it full circle.
Full circle, totally.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Well, give us a little bit of your origin story, Jon. How did you come to be this IGTV guru, whatever your title was before? How did you manage to come to this point?
Yeah, it all starts with my parents. My parents are first generation immigrants from Iran. They were Jewish, so it was very hard to practice the religion there. So around the revolution of 1979, they left. And it's a long story, but essentially they made their way to the States. And, I was born and raised in Chicago. And just, I
lived in Naperville for a couple of years.
Oh, you did?
I worked in downtown Chicago.
Okay, cool, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I ran cross country in high school, and I think Naperville North had an amazing cross country team that just kicked our butts every few years.
Sorry to bring back PTSD stuff.
No. It's all good. But first generation immigrant kid, grew up in Chicago, and just would always like spend my afternoons, on Fridays, like after school, like following my dad at his business. He had an Oriental rug store. You know, if you're a Persian, you're either selling jewelry, Oriental rugs, or you're a doctor or lawyer. And just seeing how he built his business from scratch, learning the language, providing for us, just gave me so much optimism to say like, hey, like, I don't know, anything is really possible. And I know I've been given a lot of privilege and opportunity, but that's the same mindset that I have today.
Very cool. Okay, so started with your parents, and then kind of take me through a little bit more to where you end up getting really into like social media and technology and that kind of stuff.
So my first moment was in college. I came from a public school. I went to the Wharton School undergrad at the University of Pennsylvania, and I just saw these people running for class president. Like, oh, here's my platform. Here's what I think. I'm like, oh, nobody cares about that. Like, we're like, let's have some fun. Let's have some more creativity. So that's when I first hit the upload button on YouTube, and I made a rap video to run for class president.
Okay.
And
this is in college.
In college.
Okay.
In college, what year was this? This was like 2009.
So you're going full on popularity contest.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, come on, let's just have some fun with it. Like, like platforms, constituency, yeah, it's all important, but let's just like think about like how we could all have a good time. And so I made this rap video. It's still online, and I somehow was able to get Larry King to be in it. Like, I found him on the streets of LA. Yeah, and if you go find the video on YouTube, you can just search like Youshaei rap video. Larry King opens it, and he's like, re-elect Youshaei, or elect Youshaei. You know why? Because he's perfect. And I'm like, wow, Larry, like, you don't even know me.
That's like the biggest endorsement ever.
I know. I'm sure if I met him now, and like you said, you regret it big time. But so that was awesome. And just seeing that and being able to see, okay, and it sounds so obvious now, but like the video, and I don't think it went viral, but it got a lot of distribution on campus.
Sure.
It got about 10,000 views, which back then was a lot.
Yep.
Especially just, for a student running for student government elections. Everyone started talking about it. That helped me get the position. I held it for 4 years. And then when I finally started recruiting for jobs, my boss told me, we saw your video. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you in.
That was your resume.
That was part of it. Yeah. That was part of it. He's like, hey, you're young. You're familiar with the platform on both sides, creator and viewer. And that just set off a journey of, 5 years there, just seeing so much growing in different roles. And then, before getting recruited to join Instagram. Okay.
Very cool. All started with a student body class president kind of a campaign. That's
the nerdiest origin story of all time. Yes, definitely would not qualify for Marvel. Maybe DC, maybe DC Comics, maybe DC, maybe DC. No,
yeah, cool.
No shade to any DC fans out there, but yeah.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your from poop to gold moment. When I say that, like, when did you have a crappy situation, either in your personal life or career, that you were able to turn into something positive, maybe even something great? What comes to mind for that?
Yeah, I think about, I don't know. So I'm trying to define something that would qualify as poop and like be a like crappy situation. But I think it's really taking this idea. I've been toying around with the idea of Admazing for years now. This show that I started. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Admazing is a show I put together that is all about analyzing the world's best and worst commercials to find out what really makes a great ad.
Yeah.
And I've had this idea for many years. I just never took action on it. You know. And I again, it's not like I guess people's definition of poop may be different, but for me, like being in like paralysis around an idea is one of the worst feelings in the world. Like I've been thinking about it, and I kept telling myself like, oh, like I need to buy a better camera, I need to get better mics, I need to get better backdrop, and all this stuff. And that's a bunch of BS, right? And so I really owe it to my girlfriend, who like after we moved in together, she really helped me just think about the operations of it. I had a tablecloth behind me when I was shooting the first video, and it like the tape would fall off. it like
drop mid take.
Yeah. I'd be like delivering a line, and it's like, and that's why this commercial is atrocious, which is like on the other spectrum. And then the tape would fall. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, and for some context for our viewers, you rate the ads on a scale of atrocious all the way up to Admazing, right?
Yep.
What's the mid-level? I forget what it is.
Adequate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very
so
clever.
I love thinking about the branding and the language. I just think it's so I've been just toying around that for so long. I was helping so many creators like grow into the millions of followers at YouTube, and I'd always said like, what if I just try it myself? What if I do it?
Yeah.
And then was able to grow on LinkedIn with these cartoons, get close to 28,000 followers. I was like, all right, why don't I just put it on all these different platforms, see how it does, and just, screw it. Just try it. Like, why am I waiting? So, and seeing that first upload, seeing the interactions, and just seeing this like community build over the past few months. Still a brand new channel, but yeah, it's just been awesome to see. It's been gold.
Very cool. Love that. Yeah, I love just there's nothing that replaces just going and doing.
Nothing.
Especially when you've got an idea and then you just put it into action.
Yes.
Like even our listeners might be hearing a little bit of the commotion in the background. We're actually at a conference right now, and I was preparing for a presentation that I was giving. Yeah. And I just kept delaying, and I was supposed to practice it with my coworker, with Keith, who produces this show. And he kept being like, "Okay, it's time, Daniel." I'm like, "Oh no, I got a little bit more time, And finally, like when I just stopped preparing and just like did it, just like put it out there in front of him, like it was just like a huge relief off of my shoulders just to go through that process. And sometimes we just tinker and stuff and just really hesitate to put things out in front of people because we're afraid we're going to be embarrassed, right?
You know what helps me think about, like, okay, we just got to produce. I found this piece of research that the only thing that made Mozart, Beethoven, and I think it was Johann Sebastian Bach, like any different than their like peers, like when it comes to classical music. Like we all remember these legendary composers, right? Is because they produced thousands of more compositions than any of their peers at the time.
Oh wow!
And so we only remember, like, what do we remember? Like Beethoven Symphony No. 5. Like I'm not even pretending to be like that sophisticated. Like that's, you know, we just remember those three names, those three people, and a few of their songs. Yeah. But the truth is, they just produce way more content than anyone else.
Way more at bats.
Way more at bats. That's well said.
Were you reading the book Peak? Have you read Peak?
No.
Sounds like you would like the book Peak.
Oh, really?
I think it kind of goes into that a little bit about just the level of practice that it takes to get to mastery. And it doesn't necessarily put it in the context of at-bats, right? But it essentially boils down to the same principles. Yep. That there's so much more learning that happens just from the reps. The reps. Just going the paces to get it done.
But I think it's not just the reps, because like, you know, they have the 10,000 hours, like all that research is out there. To me, it was like, okay, there's this like whole like conversation of like quantity or quality, and I think it's just like quantity leads to quality.
That's right.
Because you don't know what quality is when you're just like sitting on it.
That's right.
You know, and I know you guys do so much testing. Like you put the A/B test out there, you like figure out, oh, what's the best hook, what's the best thumbnail, and all that. And if you just sat on it, you never know.
Yeah, it's so true. Cool. So, glad to hear the Admazings out there doing well for you. Let's talk a little bit about your creative process. When do you get into flow the most for ideas? What are some of the habits you go to, or some of the things you kind of force yourself to do in order to make sure you're getting good ideas?
Yeah. So I'm always a student of the game. Like I've heard so much about like this term like swipe file. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Like, so back in the day, I believe it was the 70s or 60s, like advertising execs would have like these like manila folders that they call their swipe files.
Oh yeah, I think I have.
You know, and people have different names for it, but they basically cut out different clippings from magazines, put in the swipe file, and then when it comes to like get a new brief, get a new client, and get a new campaign, they open up that swipe file and they just go through it. They just go through it. And for me, my version of that is like keeping like different just like folders of that. When I see interesting creative out there, or I see an interesting music video, or I see a thumbnail I like, I start just as I'm consuming, putting it in the file.
What I like what you're talking about is the fact that you're drawing from, it sounds like you're drawing, if you're anything like me, from multiple industries.
Always.
In order to be able to get that inspiration. So for us, like going through ad school, one of the things they taught was like really go through like the award annuals and go through all the different award shows. But then I think when you do that, you end up doing stuff like the rest of the industry is doing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a swipe file that's made up of inspiration from a creator over here on YouTube, or a person on Twitter, and a little bit here from someone on Instagram.
Exactly.
And now you've got this Reddit thing that you're following, and you've got this blog, and when you're piecing it together that way, more kind of as an eclectic cultural mix of things, I feel like you get better ideas than if you're just kind of being like, well, what's the rest of the industry doing? Because then you don't really change it up and necessarily innovate as much as you start to just kind of do what everyone else is doing. That's fine. Like you can learn a craft that way, but it doesn't necessarily allow you to zig or zag where everyone else is zigging, if that makes sense.
Totally agree. The way I think about it is like the best way to succeed within an industry is to look outside of it.
That's right.
and
Look at adjacent industries.
Exactly. Yeah. And lateral thinking, just
Yep.
like grabbing, like there's that great story of like how Velcro was created. Have you heard this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but do it for our audience. It's great.
Well, it's like there's this thing called a burr in nature, and the creator of Velcro was just walking, through the forest, and he just saw these like burrs. Like we've all had this happen to us. Like you're walking and get stuck on your like sock or your fleece jacket or whatever, and he's like, like how does this work? And if you look at it, these little hooks intertwined,
Yep.
and voila, we have Velcro.
Yep. Very cool. Yep. You got it from nature. Cool. Can you talk me through a little bit about what you do to network with other people? Obviously, networking's got to be a big portion of your job.
Yeah.
In order to be successful. What are some tips that you have for networking?
Yeah. So I always think in terms of one-liners, and like when I think about networking, I think it's more about woodworking, not networking.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like I think if you start building like the woodworkings of something that you're really proud of, people will gravitate towards you, or they'll want to talk to you about something. And obviously there's a bit more like proactive you have to do, like conferences like this. I was like seeing like, oh, who's here? Who can I chat with? Who can I get feedback like in my job at Instagram to help make our product better? But overall, especially when I think about my creative projects outside of work, is like I spend so much time by myself or like with a few friends or with my girlfriend brainstorming and building something, like building a show. And then I put that out into the world, and it just brings in like some people I don't think I would have any business meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could give you a story as an example.
Oh yeah, you bet.
So I was drawing those cartoons, the Every Vowel cartoons, which are basically just like I took the letters in my last name. I have every vowel in my last name, and I gave each character a persona.
Okay, so I didn't dive into the significance of the letters. I did notice that you were using the same letters.
Yes.
Over and
Yeah.
over again. I'm like, what are all these? There's a meaning here. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. Okay.
That's right. So
it's all from your last name.
So I have every vowel in my last name, Youshaei. But I thought it'd be fascinating to have that cartoon series where like Y, it's like the vowels are all the characters in the office. Y sometimes feels like a vowel, sometimes doesn't.
Yes. Well, yeah. Okay.
He has identity crisis,
Yeah.
like most people do at that age.
Yeah.
A is like the angry boss. U is the selfless mentor, all about you. I is the self promoter. Like so, they each have like different personas. But anyways, like I've spent a lot of time drawing, putting that out, creating that audience, and then all of a sudden, I get this opportunity to draw 4 life-size murals of those cartoons for Jon Youshaei. He's like, hey, can you come to Vegas? Come to Zappos' headquarters. And it took about a year and a half, but now if you go to Zappos' headquarters in Las Vegas, you'll see 4 Every Vowel murals.
And let our audience know who Jon Youshaei is.
Jon Youshaei is the CEO of Zappos,
Okay,
founder, acquired by Amazon for $1 billion.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very cool.
So stuff like that is just like, hey,
Awesome.
amazing. Like, I would love to talk about this. And, you work at YouTube, so the woodworking is how I think about networking.
I love how you think, man. It's great, and I love your stuff. I've obviously interacted and seen your things before. Our writer Johnny introduced Admazing to me before, and I saw that he had commented on it. And you had even like shouted him out in one of your videos and stuff.
Yeah,
which is
gotta
great.
make it interactive.
But love what you're doing over there. So anything, what are you most excited about of what's going on over at Instagram right now?
IGTV.
Okay.
And I know IGTV may seem like the underdog in the video space right now, but that to me represents a lot of the opportunity in terms of like getting on the ground floor. But also, if you look at the product in terms of what it was on day one, on launch day, it's fundamentally different than it is today. And that's because I think the speed of it and just the listening to creators and what they want has moved much quicker than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like we were vertical only, now we're vertical and horizontal. We were not integrated with Instagram, now we are integrated with Feed, Explore, Stories.
That was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge.
And more of that to come. So that's what I'm most excited about in my day job. And then, Admazing is what I'm excited about on nights and weekends.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking time to join us here on From Poop to Gold. If you all want to check out Jon and his work, where would you like to point them?
Check out me. Follow me on Instagram at Youshaei, YOUSHAEI. I always love following back or DMing or checking out your content. So it's a very conversational platform for me. LinkedIn, and then also I have the Admazing show on YouTube as well. So wherever you guys feel most comfortable, we'll love to connect with you there.
Awesome. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks again for taking time. And thank you for listening and watching. And remember to subscribe so you can get more of this great content coming up. And we'll see you on the next one.
As entrepreneurs and small businesses, we all kind of reach that point where we know we've created something awesome and we want to share it with the world, right? And it's that very next step that can oftentimes be really intimidating or really scary, or you just don't know where to go next, right? And the beautiful thing about this 14-day script challenge is you get your hand held from, okay, you have this cool product, now let's go research and find the exact way to present it and message it to the world in a way that resonates and gets people excited and they're ready to swipe their credit card and purchase. And in the 14-day script challenge, you get the opportunity to go through that step by step with our writers who have done it dozens and dozens of times.
You actually watch us go through each of the steps ourselves and create it with a real client, a real product, and it's a real campaign that's out there that's been very successful.
That's right. And the feedback that we've had on this thing has just been phenomenal. I mean, we get comment after comment and emails flowing in from people all over the world who have just raved about the impact that this has had on their business.
People tell us over and over again, it is just a huge value punch for the investment for this 14-day script challenge, and really gave them the tool set they needed to walk through it and make it happen.
And we've had dozens of students who have successfully taken the challenge, written their script, launched their ad campaigns, and driven success for their business. It's pretty amazing.
For more information, go to hbros.co/script. That's hbros.co/script.